Dear friends, we call this press conference to, in one hand, we want to reveal our political proposal on this, according to the prevailing situation, prevailing crisis situation. In one hand, we can see that the budget proposals presented by the President, the Finance Minister by himself yesterday, and it is very clear now we have been following this neoliberal policies implemented by the IMF for the last 4.5 decades. So this is not a new thing that when Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, when he said that the open economy was a failure, but we think that that is not the truth, because we have been following for the last 4.5 decades the same neoliberal policies, and we are facing a situation due to the open economy policies in economic terms. On the other hand, due to the political system we have been following for the last 74 years. So we need a change. So what we are saying here now, most of the political parties represented in the parliament and outside the parliament, everybody, they are calling for an election. And they, it seems they are saying that they can solve each and every problems in economic in terms of economy and political. It seems that they are saying that they can solve all the problems by holding an election, but that's not true. We know that the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the successor president, and the Rajapaksa clan and the Podujana Peramuna party, they don't have the people's mandate. It's clear, it's quite clear, they don't have the mandate. We have seen on 9th of July this year, then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had to flee the country due to the uprising of the people. So it's quite clear that they don't have the mandate. That's the obvious thing. But on the other hand, if someone says that holding an election, that is the only solution, we don't agree with that, because the election cry is also a result of the uprising, result of the people's struggle. Therefore, if someone wants to have an election, we don't oppose the election, because we know that Podujana Peramuna, Rajapaksa clan, Ranil Wickremesinghe, they don't want an election. That's why they want to postpone the local government election. They are trying to use several methods to postpone the local government election. That is very obvious. But on the other hand, if someone says the holding an election is the only solution, it is not going to be the truth, because you can't avoid or you can't forget the struggle, because there is an ongoing struggle. Now it has been lasting for several months. So due to this struggle only, we can have a position to call for an election. Therefore, the struggle and mainly the main slogans of the struggle, the main slogans according to the political reforms and economic reforms, it should be included in this election. It should be combined with this election. If someone wants to have an election, hold an election, he or she, the party, should agree to combine all the political reforms and all the economic reforms generated by the struggle, Aragalaya, for the last few months. Therefore, Frontline Socialist Party, as Frontline Socialist Party, we vehemently urge all the people and all the political parties and all the groups, the new constitution should be established, and a referendum should be combined with the election. If there is an election, there must be a referendum should be combined with the general election. That referendum for a new constitution, the the content of the constitution, it has been revealed for the last few months in the Gulf phase struggle and in People's Council and different political arenas. It has been discussed, and still it has been discussing. So we can improve the content of a new People's Constitution, but definitely the People's Constitution with the content should be combined with the election, with a general election. That's our main slogan. And if someone wants to, if someone tries to forget, or if someone tries to avoid the struggle or the content of the struggle or the requirement and main slogan of the struggle, it is a kind of a betrayal of the struggle. We know that when the Gulf phase protesters, when they presented their program back in 12th of July, all the political parties represented in the parliament and outside the parliament, and most of the trade unions, they agreed to the document. They agreed all the slogans presented by the Gulf phase protesters at that time. But now it seems that they have been forgetting about the content of that reforms, the political reforms, and especially the economic reforms, and now they are trying to find their way to grab power. So that is the situation we are facing. Therefore, we stress to have a referendum with the election, and the referendum should be for a new constitution. The content of the new constitution should be revealed to the people, and we are, as a leftist party, frontline socialist party, from now on we are going to campaign among the people about a new constitution and the content of the new constitution. In that content, numerous times it was revealed that the executive presidency should be eradicated. At the same time, the electoral system should be reformed, and at the same time, the education and health and transportation should be a basic right of the people. So it should be, all these it should be included in this constitution. So it should be go before the people for a mandate. So this is our main requirement at the moment. Therefore, we are again saying that if there is an election, there must be a referendum for a new constitution, and the new constitution should be revealed. The content of the constitution should be revealed to the masses. And in 1972, we have a kind of a different action, because when the government wanted to break away from the 1948 Salisbury Constitution, they used the 1970 general election to as a referendum to because they before the election they expressed their views, and they said that this election was going to be a referendum or a mandate for a new constitution. That is how they created 1972 constitution. So it means that we have that experience in the past. We have done in our political history. We have this experience in the past. Not the same we are proposing, but we have that extra constitutional events. Therefore, according to the present constitution, it says we need, according to the present constitution, there are some provisions included. If you want to change a clause, you have to go for 2/3 majority, and on the other hand, you need a referendum. So who is the person to call the referendum? The president himself has to call for a referendum. So it is very contradictory. That is Jaya Javadana's trick. So we are tricked. We have been tricked for the last 4.5 decades. Because if there are some clauses, it can be changed by using a referendum, but the person who has to call a referendum is the president himself. So he doesn't want to call for a referendum to change these clauses. Therefore, we don't have that. By using the present constitution, we don't have that provisions. That's why we are proposing we need to have an extra constitution, extra constitutional action to change the constitution. That's why we are proposing to have a referendum for a new people's constitution with the same with the general election. And you know that before the Aragalaya, before the struggle, and we have been learning for decades that there are three pillars, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. And these are the three pillars, and this is the basis of the democracy. But now, after the struggle, now we know that there is another pillar, that is people's power, the pillar of people's power. It was emerged after this struggle, and we knew how powerful that pillar was, because the legislature, the judiciary, they couldn't remove the president, but finally the people's power was able to remove the executive president from his seat, and he had to flee the country. So it was an experience. It is not an opinion. It was not an ideological opinion, but it is what we have experienced in the recent past. So it is an experience. It means there is another pillar emerged after this struggle, Aragale. Therefore, no one can describe or no one can analyze the political situation in Sri Lanka hereafter without this pillar of people's power. So pillar of people's power should be engaged in the future politics in Lanka. If someone thinks that it was there on July 9th, now it has been vanished or it has been faded away, it is wrong, because it is there. And we as a leftist party, we know that how powerful this pillar of people power, so we need to activate this people's power in the future. Therefore, if someone wants to have a connection, if someone wants to combine the struggle with the future elections, so should be a referendum for a new constitution. That's our proposal.